Hey, so I'm going to talk about Pluto in the first house because it was a request video. I'm not sure how long ago, but now I finally have time. So this is similar to a Scorpio rising, but there are definitely some differences. So I would also go ahead and look at my Scorpio rising video, and if any of that resonates with you, then that's just some additional knowledge to be had. Because Pluto in some versions of astrology doesn't actually represent anything, which is makes it a little bit left out, but typically encompasses something that resembles the Scorpio frequency to some degree. So something obvious right off the bat is that you're going to be a pretty intense person. You know, having it in your first house means it's a part of your identity. So I would also pay attention to what sign your Pluto is in, because that'll have a very different interpretation than the one I'm about to give you. But I just wanted to give some general things that you can expect. So yeah, you're pretty intense in whatever realm that you are. If you have a water Pluto in your first house, you're going to be really emotionally intense and project that to everybody as a part of your identity. If you have on Earth Pluto and that is in your first house, then you're going to be intensely grounded and, you know, strong and slow, that kind of a thing. So pay attention to the element as well. You're gonna have an air of mysteriousness about you, like you almost don't exist. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's like you are so far removed from the general sense of consciousness and kind of so far back in the background of what's going on, that it might be really easy for people to overlook you. You might be able to just kind of sneak through the shadows of life and, you know, you don't stir much attention. If people actually take a moment to focus on you, they'll feel this very strange power emanating from you, but it's not something that's going to necessarily attract them. It's something that they're going to be aware of and probably keep their distance from that to a degree. It's not like having your sun or your Venus in your first house where people are like, oh my God, hello. This is something that's going to keep a good amount of space between you and others, which you may or may not like depending on, you know, your rising sign and other placements in your chart. If this is something that you like, then that's good. Know that you'll always have this kind of magnetic shield around you where if people come into your life, it's because you kind of turn on that switch. Pluto has an incredibly magnetic potential when it wants to, and it tends to be very specific. It's not broad catching. Again, like if you had the sun and Jupiter in the first house, you're probably attracting everybody all the time. But with Pluto in the first house, you need to set an intention first and be like, look, I am looking for a partner, I'm looking for a friend, I'm looking for a client, etc. Really focus your brain on that and then kind of put that out in the universe, and it will happen eventually. Pluto is not the fastest sign, so it could take a while. You're not going to have a million people come into your life unless you have an air Pluto, and then that might be much easier for you, and that would kind of balance. Having an air Pluto in the first would probably balance this out the most, because you'll want to be social even though there's the distance, so you'll put effort into closing that gap. having a fire Pluto in the first is gonna make you really, really, really intense. That might be a little difficult to deal with, but it would make you a pretty cool and extreme person. These are just generalizations. Like, I don't know. I guess I could quickly go over all of the placements if I really have time in this video. But anyway, so you're also gonna have a very transformative vision for who you are as a person, and it's something that definitely develops over time, and this is a really deep process for you. That being said, like, your personality isn't static, it's dynamic. Of course, that's typically the case for everybody, though, you know, having more Earth placements, especially an Earth Sun, is going to make you more stable in terms of your personality. Like, Capricorns are pretty much the same person most of their life. Obviously, everyone evolves. But when your Pluto is in the first house, my point being is you probably change up your image quite a lot to reflect your own personal growth and development. There's probably moments in your life where you really shifted things, even if it's just cutting your hair really short, dyeing your hair, getting a totally new wardrobe, editing your gender identity, stuff like that. Those are pretty prevalent. So you're gonna also have this really like dark, serious undertone to yourself. Pluto in the first house, not someone that you're gonna see like smiling or laughing right off the bat, like, unless you know them. There's someone that has a completely straight face. They might be wearing all black with their headphones in, kind of in the corner. Like, they're not that approachable. Like I said, unless you have an air Pluto, it's definitely tempered out a little bit. But, or even a fire Pluto, you might be a little bit more projective. But for the most part, you're pretty guarded, and you aren't one that's gonna engage in small talk with somebody. Like, if someone's gonna get through to you, it's because they're gonna be really eccentric and weird and intelligent, and they're gonna pique your interest, and be able to have intellectual conversations that are really like to your caliber, that are gonna hold your attention and your focus, and you're gonna get really excited about that. I guess I do kind of just want to talk about Pluto really briefly, as if it were any of the signs. So if you had Pluto Aries in the first house, you're gonna be physically very commanding. You might have a really strange body. That is only to say that it probably won't fit in with what's normal. You're probably incredibly stubborn and headstrong right off the bat. You might be a little bit confrontational. You could be somewhat of a bully, but you get things done. You're really assertive and kind of aggressive. This is a little bit of a dangerous placement, I want to say, if you're not doing it right. Pluto's in Aries can fucking burn down the world if it wants to and start wars. It's something that you're really going to have to work through to balance. And having it in the first house, I guess, is better than anywhere else, because it's kind of right out front. You're not hiding it, and it's probably less potent than if it was anywhere else. If you have Pluto in Taurus, actually, I should probably look this up, because there's definitely not going to be everyone alive with all these placements. How long does it take Pluto to move? I think 14 years. Anyway, I'll just go through it anyway. If I'm talking about dead people, so be it. So Pluto in Taurus, in the first, you know, that's pretty deep. I'm trying to tune into that. You're gonna be really stern and really, really rooted into who you are as a person. Like, if you're a racist or an activist, that's who you are. It's gonna be so hard because Taurus is really going to try to stop Pluto's natural transformational process. If you think about it, Taurus is the opposite of Scorpio. It's not really a good match for Pluto to be able to do what it needs to do, and then it kind of exacerbates the really serious nature of this person. You're really going to be an authority figure. You're going to block most people out of your life. Like, if you have this placement, you really could be a hermit. You don't have too much humor going on, but you probably have an incredible amount of resources. I feel like this placement either doesn't exist or represents the patriarchy and like a bunch of old men with money who just don't want to change their fucking values. I'm sorry if that sounds judgmental, but Pluto is an incredibly generational sign, and I'm getting that it was a really hard brick of an energy for people to channel through their personalities. Damn, yeah, okay, so Pluto and Gemini, this person's gonna try so hard to be very friendly, in the first house, mind you. I'm not talking about just general Pluto signs. This person's going to try to be really friendly, and they're going to be interested in accumulating as many connections and interactions as possible. That makes them feel powerful when they know everybody and have a million friends. So you can actually be pretty social, but you're really, really intense about it, and you're very passionate about it. And all of your friendships even are like these aspects of your soul. Like, if you broke yourself apart, you probably put it into a lot of different people. This is indicative of a lot of past life evolution, and right off the bat, you're going to come off as someone who's so magnetic and intelligent, and you are able to have really important conversations. Gonna try to keep these more brief because I'm already at 12 minutes. So what? Pluto and Cancer in the first? Oh man. You're probably gonna either not want to talk to anyone or love everyone, and flip-flop back in between those things based off of just kind of your mood and your personal growth. Like, Pluto and Cancer has the ability to literally shut everyone out. I mean, all the water signs have like an isolationist aspect, but in this way, you can be pretty cold about it and just kind of cut yourself off from society, but you need other people to feel nurtured. And in the first house, your identity is going to be this really strong, overbearing, protective, defensive, nurturing, caring parent figure. So you're going to come across as someone who's very mature and probably older than the times, and someone who can be there for you, but has the potential to completely fucking destroy you if they would like. Pluto and Leo in the first. This is going to be a long video. I'm just channeling this through because I feel like it's what's necessary. Let's see. This person, this is really intense ego. Wow. Yeah, especially in the first. You're going to be spending a large amount of your life building up your personal image, and you will destroy anyone that attempts to slander that or disrespect you in any kind of way. Anyone that tries to go after your family or your reputation is gonna be like a lifelong vengeance. Pluto and Leo in the first house. I don't know if any of you guys watch Empire, but it really reminds me of the Lion family, who will really stop at absolutely nothing to make sure that their legacy is maintained. Again, a lot of these seem somewhat outdated. I mean, I have Pluto and Scorpio I don't know. I don't think it goes much farther back than that. I mean, it must, but anyway. Time, right? It's an illusion. Anyway, very, very intense ego. Almost all-encompassing. It'd be difficult not to come off as condescending if you had this placement in your first house. And very authoritative, very bossy, but very regal at the same time. You probably you could be famous. You could own a lot of property. You could have some kind of political power, if that makes sense. So, all right, Pluto in Virgo in the first house. I've done a couple charts where people have this, so I know that this exists on the planet right now. Pluto in the first house. By the way, if a lot of this sounds negative or shadowy, that is a lot of what Pluto can be. So I apologize if anyone is triggered or if I'm using language that hurts. I'm just trying to channel what's coming through, and it's what I believe is meant to be heard through these videos. But Pluto and Virgo in the first house. Wow, I'm not even halfway done with this. So let's see. Very precise. Very, very precise. Very analytical, very logical, very critical. You would be the ultimate perfectionist, especially when it came to your own identity and your own image. You want to give to the world, but you don't ever want to be critiqued. You don't want to make a mistake because you don't want to give anyone the opportunity to point that out about you, because that would really, really throw your anxiety for a loop. You don't like being told what to do or how to exist in the world. You like to do the opposite. You have a very incredibly powerful healing energy that you project to other people, but similarly to what I just said, it's very blunt and you could hurt people, because Virgo Pluto in the first house would tend to show everyone their flaws just by getting to know them. Like, if you aren't confident, it's going to be thrown right in your face, and there's someone that can be difficult to get along with unless you really enjoy that kind of personal development and know not to take it personally. When it comes to Virgo, never take it personally, even if it really seems like it's supposed to be. Pluto in Libra in the first house. Oh man, this is like a diplomat. This is someone who can talk to anybody, who gains power from interacting with other people, who gains a sense of confidence and resources and transforms through these interpersonal relationships and making connections with other people. They want to generate peace and harmony, but almost in such a dark way that they become the judge and become non-biased and will make decisions that might not seem fair to everyone, but they're just doing their job. This seems to me like a pretty good situation for Pluto in the first house, because Libra will definitely temper out a lot of the Pluto energy, while at the same time using it for the greatest potential that it has. And you're gonna come off a little bit more friendly, though people will understand that you're trying to get something out of them a lot of the times, but that you're also willing to give just as equally, and that you can be incredibly fair when it comes to divvying out power and with control. So that's a pretty good placement as far as that goes. Pluto in the first is not easy regardless. It's flipping itself on its head. You know, Pluto wants to be on the fringe and you're putting it right up front. So it's kind of a difficult thing to be anyways. Pluto in Scorpio in the first house. I have this Pluto placement, but it's in my 8th house. So in the first house, you're going to be so deeply mysterious and alluring. This is good too, though, because Pluto is in its home, so it doesn't feel like it has to struggle or it has to fight. It can just be itself. Especially in the first house, you know, I'm with a bunch of dogs. People are gonna know that you're deeply emotional, that you're very passionate about the things that you care about, that you have strength and power. You might experience the fact that a lot of people are very afraid of you or intimidated by you. You're not gonna get approached very often. You're not gonna come across as someone who's friendly by any means. You really are pretty frightening as an energy, though you would make an incredible boss and an incredible leader because of these reasons. You're just going to have to learn to navigate society knowing that basically you walk around projecting all of your ability to really crush someone right off the bat, and it's going to take people with a certain amount of confidence to be able to get through that and really get to know the other parts of you. You're ironically less likely to end up hurting anyone or being all that Scorpio ridiculousness, because if people pass through that layer right up front, they probably made it into your inner circle, and then you're probably fine. Pluto in Sagittarius in the first house. This Pluto and Sag is interesting. It's very fun. It's a lot about adrenaline and kind of chasing a high and being spontaneous and rebellious and like an artist and all that. So having this in the first house, this would be pretty positive, I believe. You're definitely going to come across as an individual, as an artist, as a creative visionary, someone who's really eccentric and different and just kind of following their heart and their passion. You're really going to stand out. You would be an amazing entertainer or a celebrity. Like, having this in your first house is going to catapult you through life if you channel it and wish to do so. There's a lot of power hidden within that. And you're pretty much always going to be following your soul mission and be expressing that immediately. Like, when people meet you, they're going to know what you're about and really be energized to help you. So this is probably the most positive one I've talked about yet, as far as first house Plutos go. And I know that the generation that's younger than me has that Pluto. So Pluto in Capricorn in the first house. That is not going to be easy. Pluto in Capricorn is going to be anyone that's young. So Pluto in Aquarius and Pisces are going to be future generations. I'm probably going to stop then here. There are probably things I talked about in the beginning that are people that have already passed. I mean, I can talk about the energies coming in, whatever. Sorry, I do all this intuitively. I never have a plan with it. I just kind of do what's needed from me. So Pluto in Capricorn in the first house is... Hold on, these dogs want to go inside. Is going to be someone who has a very commanding grip on the world, who is going to be very serious and ahead of their time and very mature. Like I said, this is the younger generation, so this isn't going to... Calypso, come. This isn't going to manifest itself for a bit of time. These energies aren't fully formed yet, is what I'm hearing. And they can't be because it's a Capricorn energy, but know that there is a generation coming of leaders. For sure. Know that the people who are eventually going to take over and be powerful and be in control of the new society that's coming, you know, a lot of us that are 20 and 30 and 40 are really doing all the groundwork and making all of the things happen and being a transitional process, but the younger generations are going to take over once we're done, which is typical of evolution. But respect the kids, because they're gonna be in charge one day, and it's important to teach them. And then after that, yeah, Pluto and Aquarius people, that's even more depth, that's even more societal transportation. And Pluto and Pisces is just gonna be, oh my God, an amazing, amazing, beautiful, depth-filled, spiritual, connected era. I'm not even sure when that is. I know Pluto's not even going into Capricorn for 7 years. So, I mean, moving out of it for 7 years. So, yeah, these energies aren't really completed yet. So I'm trying to tap into them, but they're still forming. And I don't want to give information too soon before it's really that relevant. Wow, yeah, okay, I got asked to do Pluto in the first, so I put a lot out there, and hopefully this resonates with you guys and you learn something about Pluto. It's a very interesting planet, and obviously all planets have a million different dimensions to them. This is just first house, very basic information. If you're interested in it more, I would suggest studying it. Or if you have a specific placement you want to me to talk an entire video about just that, then I can do that, put it in the description, and I'll work on that when I have a chance. All right, thank you.